Today I'm going to tell you a story. And that story is likely to be one of the most twisted things that you have ever heard. Even living today in 2020 with everything that we've lived through in the past little bit, this story is still going to be one of the most twisted. Now, we've already talked about the fact that Greek drama requires a lot of exposition or background information. Today, I'm going to give you the background information that you need for our play, Oedipus Rex. Rex meaning the king, so it's Oedipus the king. So today we're going to learn his background. I would like for you to write down Theban Legend, because this story is going to be about the city of Thebes. Let's start with a guy named Cadmus. Cadmus was very eager to be a king, but he had no city. He had heard this legend that if you take the teeth of a dragon and you plant them in the ground, that soldiers or warriors will grow up, and then he'll have an army and he can take over a city, then he can be king. Cadmus finds a dragon, kills the dragon, plants the teeth, up come the warriors, he's able to take over the city of Thebes. Yay! Happy ending. No, not happy ending. The problem was that he had killed the pet dragon of Ares, the god of war. Now, might I make this recommendation to you? If you're going to kill the pet of a god, maybe it should be the god of love, not the god of war. Ares finds out. Ares is so angry that Ares curses Cadmus. But Ares is madder than that. So Ares curses Cadmus plus his entire bloodline. His sons, his sons' sons, his sons' sons' sons. As long as Cadmus has descendants, they are all cursed. The curse will look different per generation, but they're all going to be cursed. Yay! Fast forward, go to Cadmus's great-grandson, whose name is Laius. Laius gets to be the king of Thebes, and he gets to be the king of Thebes because he is direct descendant of Cadmus. Laius is married to a woman named Jocasta, who is likely very young, because that's the way that they did this. She's likely from some kind of royal bloodline herself, and this marriage was likely not her choice. But they were married nonetheless. Now, before Laius and Jocasta had a baby, Laius knew that his ancestors had been cursed, and he wanted to find out if there was anything he needed to know before he had a child. So Laius and Jocasta go off to the oracle at Delphi. Delphi is a really cool place. All these places, Thebes, Delphi, you can go to today. They're actual places in Greece. Anyway, they go there and say, hey, is there anything that we should know before we have a child? And the oracle at Delphi says, yeah, well actually, if you have a son, he's going to kill his father and marry his mother. Yeah, so they go home. And they conceive a child anyway. Now, they had a 50-50 shot on this, right? If they have a son, he's going to die and she's going to end up marrying her kid. But if they had a girl, they would be saved from it. So they go ahead and they continue with the pregnancy. They have a child. Guess what? Of course it is. It is a baby boy. As soon as they have the baby boy, Laius freaks out. And Laius goes, nope, this little thing is not going to kill me. So he sends this baby with a trusted court guard to kill it. They take this baby to a place called Mount Cithaeron. It's a nearby place. It's a place that the guard knows well, because sometimes the guard works in the palace and sometimes the guard works as a shepherd. So he's very familiar with the grounds and he's very familiar with the places where he would not be caught killing a baby. Even though the king told him to, he knew that he would really have to answer for that action at some point in his life, and he didn't want to get caught now. So he takes the baby off to Mount Citharon. When he gets the baby to Mount Citharon, his responsibility is to kill the baby, and he like puts the baby down. He's like, I can't kill a baby. I'm a bad person. So he leaves the baby, and then he walks away, and then he comes back, and he's like, the king told me to. So the trusted court guard takes a stake, and he pins the baby's ankles to the mountain. No, I'm not making this up. This is from Greek history. Guy walks away. Because he figures at some point something's going to kill it. Either his wound is going to kill him, or an animal's going to come up and eat him. Either way, he's good. He can't do that. He comes back. He takes the pin out of the ankles. He takes the baby, and he's like, I don't know what to do. And he hands the baby to another shepherd, a shepherd who's from another land. And he's like, hey, I got a present for you. Take the present, send the baby away. And the other guy goes, okay. The other guy takes the baby to another city. That other city is called Corinth. Maybe you've heard of it. If you've ever read a book that's called the Bible, there's a place in the New Testament called Corinth. This is a busy, busy place. Lots of people coming and going. It's a port city, lots of different languages. This little shepherd who's carrying the baby around should be able to find somebody who would want a kid. He knew a couple, and the couple's names were Polybus and Merope. He hands the baby to Polybus and Merope, who are overjoyed because they wanted a baby of their own, but they could not have a baby of their own. So they take that child, and they love that child, and they are the ones who name that child. And they name the baby Oedipus. Now, names are going to be very important. Your name has a meaning. My name has a meaning. They named this baby Oedipus, which means swollen foot. I'm not even kidding. It's like naming your baby birthmark. They took one look at his ankles and they were like, hey, swollen foot. Now, names are going to be very important for lots of reasons, but it's going to be especially important for this baby, for this couple, because not only are Polybus and Merope a couple who needed a child, Polybus and Merope are the king and queen of Corinth, which means that Oedipus went from being the crown prince and heir to the Theban throne to the crown prince and heir of the Corinthian throne, and he was supposed to die somewhere in between. It's pretty good luck, maybe, unless some higher force is at work. So Oedipus was raised by Polybus and Merope. Everybody loved him. He got everything that he wanted. Nobody ever told him no. You can imagine how well that goes over. I need you to fast forward now. Fast forward about 15 years. We're going to look at Oedipus. Oedipus is throwing a religious festival, aka giant party. So Oedipus is at giant party. Somebody who has consumed a little bit too much wine stumbles over to him, points his finger at him, and says, "You're a bastard." Parents, forgive me if you're watching this. There's a reason why I said that. He said, "You're a bastard." Now, he could have called him lots of bad words, but that word in particular has lots of pointed meaning to it. The one that we're going to go for is that you don't know who your parents are, or you don't know who your daddy is. Now, Oedipus doesn't handle this well. He's got a little bit of an anger issue. He blows up, beats the guy up, kicks him out, etc. But he's still not over it, because he couldn't believe that this guy out of nowhere came up to him and said, "You don't know who your daddy is." Oedipus couldn't handle it. So Oedipus goes to Polybus and Merope, and he's like, "Guys, something was going on. This bothers me." Polybus and Merope say, "Oh, he should never have done that. We're going to handle him." But here's why the guy said that to him. That guy said that to him because every single person in the city of Corinth knows that Oedipus was adopted. They know that Polybus and Merope did not have him. They all know that. Polybus and Merope know that. The city knows that. The only person in the entire city of Corinth who does not know he's adopted? Him. And parents don't choose to say that to him. So Oedipus goes, "Okay, thanks for taking care of that." But then he stops and he backs up and he's like, wait. You know that feeling you get when somebody is not telling you the whole truth? That is exactly what he's feeling in this situation. He knows he's not being told the whole truth. He is a good Greek. He knows exactly where to go. He goes to the oracle at Delphi. He goes to the oracle. He goes to the oracle because he knows he's going to get information. He goes to that oracle. He walks right up to her, and before he can ask any questions, the oracle says, "Stop. You don't want to know." Now that would create two reactions in me. One, a very powerful being who has a connection to the god Apollo just said stop. I'd be like, thank you, and goodbye. He doesn't do that. He takes the, nobody's ever told me no, and if you're going to tell me that I shouldn't know something, it's going to make me really want to know it. So the oracle said, fine, okay, you were born to kill your father and marry your mother. Oedipus, as the sane, logical 15-year-old that he took that information and behaved in just exactly the way you could imagine that he behaved. He said, what? I'm not going to kill him and marry her. I'm not going to kill my dad and marry my mom. There's no way, and the gods can't make me, and forget it, I am out. And so not only does he not go back to Corinth, he leaves. He doesn't want to risk it. So he said, that's fine. And he goes. And he has all kinds of interesting adventures along the road, including at a place where 3 roads meet. We'll talk about that in a minute. And he continues until he gets to the gates of a city that he's never been to before. And he runs into a mythological creature called the Sphinx. And the Sphinx is a nasty little being who has been sitting outside of the city and has been keeping the city hostage. Because the Sphinx has a game, and the Sphinx's game is a riddle. And if you can answer the riddle, the Sphinx is going to go away. If you get the riddle wrong, the Sphinx is going to eat you. Nobody has been coming or going from Thebes because they're all getting eaten. Oedipus looks at the situation, surveys the situation, looks at it and goes, okay. He strolls because nobody's ever told him no, remember? It's kind of confident, a little bit cocky. Walks right to the Sphinx and says, all right. And the Sphinx says, I'm going to eat you if you get it wrong. And he's like, whatever. The Sphinx says, fine. What walks on 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs at noon, and 3 legs in the evening? Oedipus doesn't even blink. He doesn't even go, I wonder, let me figure this out. He just automatically says the answer. And it is man. Going to be a test question. He says the answer is man. Because in the morning of your life, you crawl around. In the noon of your life, you walk upright on 2 feet. And in the evening of your life, you walk with a cane. The Sphinx is so enraged that a human could answer her riddle, she kills herself. So Oedipus has freed the city. Oedipus kind of walks in the front door and peeks around, and he's like, hey. And these people look at him and they're kind of weirded out, and they go, ooh, hey. And he's like, Sphinx is dead. They're like, ooh. And so Oedipus probably says something kind of stupid and cheesy like, take me to your leader. But the people say, we can't. Because you see, he snuck out the back a couple days ago to go get help with a couple guards, and one of them came back yesterday and said that they had been jumped by a group of people on the road and they'd all been killed, including the king. So we don't have a king. And then Oedipus looks at them and they look at him and they're like, you saved the city. We don't have a king. You saved the city and you are royal. We don't have a king. You saved the city, and we don't have a king, and our queen doesn't have a king, so why don't you become our king and marry the queen? And he did. He's gone. He's now married Jocasta. This is the tragedy of the story. The tragedy of the story is that she firmly believes her baby is dead. He firmly believes his mama is in Corinth. Nobody has any idea what has happened except for the gods. Ta-da. This is the entire curse. Wait for it though. The curse has two parts. The curse has, he's supposed to kill his father and marry his mother. But there's an issue. And the issue that you should be feeling is, he's supposed to kill him. Do you remember what I told you a couple seconds ago, that he had this issue at a place where three roads meet? Okay, well here's what happened in a place where three roads meet. Oedipus is walking along, and he is dirty, and he is busted, and he's been on foot for a long time, and he sees this chariot flying in his direction. Well, it is custom at the time that if somebody of a higher social class, like has more money, is coming towards you, that you of a lower social class step aside. Or if there's a wagon moving very, very quickly, that you're going to pull over so that you don't create giant dust clouds. Okay, so that was the right of way. Well, Oedipus looked busted. Wagon comes up toward him. The guy on the front of the wagon, who's flying along, tries to strike Oedipus, tries to move him out of the way. Oedipus has a little bit of an anger issue. And you know that because of what happened in Corinth. Oedipus doesn't take getting pushed off the road well. Oedipus grabs the staff that was used to strike at him. He grabs it. He yanks the driver off the road. Then he beats him to death. And then Oedipus is still kind of angry that he was being shoved off the road and getting that kind of treatment. Then he kills the other guy on the chariot, another guy in the chariot, another guy on the back of the chariot, and he kills everybody except for one little dude that was hiding. And after Oedipus had this major act of road rage, he stands up, he dusts himself off, and he goes to save Thebes from the Sphinx. So this little incident on the road with that chariot, whoever happened to be inside of that chariot, right here. Connections. I hope that you're making them. If not, we will talk about them as we read through the play. So one more time. Dude named Cadmus founds the city of Thebes by killing the pet dragon of the god Ares. Ares is ticked off. Ares curses Cadmus and his entire family line until there are no more of them. Fast forward. Laius married Jocasta. Found out they have a son who's going to kill his father, marry his mother. They have a kid anyway. Kid's supposed to be killed. Kid's not killed. Kid's raised in Thebes as a prince. He ends up leaving because he's told he was going to kill his father and marry his mother. He's like, no. He epic act of road rage at a place where three roads meet. Got to Thebes, killed a sphinx, became a king. He is the hero. This is the background that you need for the play that we're going to read. One more thing. All of this happened 15 years before the play actually starts. And in those 15 years, they may have had 4 children together. Again, she believes he's dead. He believes she's somewhere else. Nobody knows what's happening. But in the course of the play that we're going to read, they're all going to find out.